He's created bots based on judges, appellate panels, and even himself. Welcome to the Lawyer Millionaire, helping law firm owners scale profitably, escape the daily grind, and turn their firms into wealth-building assets. What if your biggest competitive advantage wasn't another hire, but the smart use of AI? As legal tech accelerates, law firm owners who embrace AI are gaining massive efficiency, clarity, and edge. Meanwhile, those resisting may soon be left behind. Today's guest is Jonathan Lamiro, a nationally recognized trial attorney and managing partner at Lamiro Law. He's a true legal innovator using AI to modernize litigation, grow his firm, and stay far ahead of the curve. All right, Jonathan, I am so excited to be here with you today. After we met at Legal Week, I really enjoyed your panel and all the great ideas that you had around AI and stuff like that. So great to have you here.
Pleasure's all mine. It was nice meeting you as well. Looking in the audience and seeing a familiar face is always useful.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's jump right in. AI is, it's coming fast, right?
I think it's here.
It's here, yeah, and it's expanding. What does it look like in 5 years? Do you think that law firms that don't get on AI now and start learning about it are going to be left behind?
Without a doubt. The reason is if you don't understand the building blocks and how something is being transformed, it's going to be harder to catch up than to learn as it grows. People always talk about when the people pre-technology can never grasp it or always have a block on it. It's going to be the same thing with artificial intelligence and its usage appropriately and effectively.
Yeah, absolutely. Why do you think lawyers are still kind of, for the most part, hesitant to use AI?
Lawyers are creatures of the past. We study past precedent, past law, past cases. I mean, we live looking at those before us to learn on how to be good lawyers. Very few of us look to how we are going to be great lawyers. And that is the hesitancy within, is change is not adopted by either the judiciary or lawyers quickly. So we have to be cautious, protected, and we represent people in the most dire of scenarios. So we have to make sure that we are perfect at what we do. But practice makes perfect and education makes perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. In every wave of technology, you have these different groups. You've got the early adopters. I forget the names of the other ones. But yeah, the early adopters, those are the ones who end up, look at the internet, right? And the people who were the first to jump on, like video and like Facebook. Facebook is an example of an early adopter. Like Mark Zuckerberg was an early adopter of that technology. And look what it did for him, right?
Well, there's pluses and negatives. The early adopting blindly is a failure. So the first lawyers that blindly adopted AI went and submitted hallucinated case law to a court without checking it, resulting in severe penalties and embarrassment, which then caused every other lawyer to be like, I'm not going there because I'm not going to be that next person who's ruined. But don't worry, 42 different firms have been sanctioned or kicked out of cases for inappropriately utilizing something incorrectly. And that's really user error, not computer error. And that is important to know.
Yeah, definitely. And you've got to figure out how to use it effectively. One of the things that I was really fascinated by on your panel, you talked about how the judiciary is using AI. There's all this, the judiciary is concerned about how lawyers are using AI, but they're using it also. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, that was a little scary for me. But they have really jumped on, and I think it's because of just sheer volume and lack of judicial resources. So there's not enough judges, they're not paid enough, and there's not enough staff or training. So they can't get to the amount of cases that are before them or motion practice. So they're trying to find a way to quickly summarize the paperwork and do a better job at what they do. without letting people sit for years on end waiting for a decision. So the judiciary in New Jersey has already built its own AI platform to utilize to look at different cases and different paperwork that you submit to create summaries and advanced results on the cases. Now, that's scary because what did they use as the background data sets? Who put that information in? Lawyers can't access it, so how do we test it and bug it out? One of the best things about being an early adopter is bugging out the systems before you use them to make sure that they are appropriately providing non-hallucinations and correct data sets. So, but they want it, and I understand the necessity in doing it to get a quicker breakdown of what people's positions are. As a lawyer, that scares me to death because you're sitting here thinking you're writing persuasively and arguing your point in a manner utilizing every word specifically, and a summary created by a computer would negate out that persuasive technology and argument and make it a black letter position paper.
Yeah, interesting. Did you hear about how Mark Cuban has his own AI now that's like thinks like him? So it's like you can ask Mark Cuban questions, you just ask his AI questions, and it can give you information as if you're talking to Mark Cuban.
I'm not going to lie. I've created quite a few bots based on people such as judges, appellate panels, myself, to then start creating a back and forth that could expand my positioning, such as writing. I don't want the bot to write like a bot. I want it to write like me and my style and my design.
So that's really next level thinking about AI, right? And rather than just using it like a search engine or like write this article for me, how can I use it as a strategic partner to help me in my actual work? I was thinking about this the other day, like ChatGPT could literally be my therapist. Like I could sit down and be like, hey, ChatGPT, here's what's going on today. Help me understand, why my partner is upset or,
You're 100% correct. And they've already started building platforms like that to provide a safe haven for communication of things you might not feel comfortable talking to somebody else about. So there is that benefit, and using it as an assistant. I always tell everybody, look, AI can speed certain things up, but you can't rely on it to be the final product. It's easier to proofread than it is to generate. And so when you take it and can work with it to make you better, then you're using it successfully. If you're trying to replace yourself, then you're going to fail, and it may actually end up replacing you with somebody that is using it appropriately.
Yeah, maybe we're just training all of our robot replacements.
Hey, please and thank you.
Right? But no, you need to be using it every day. And now ChatGPT, you can literally just talk to it and it will talk to you, because the more you do that, the more it learns about you and the more it can help you. And I saw a really interesting LinkedIn post. One of my connections, Elise Bowie, she put this out there as a post. She said, go to LinkedIn, go to ChatGPT and ask it, if you've been using it a lot, what are my biggest blind spots?
That's clever.
And I did it, and it was like spot on. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this is so good. This is like great information.
So one of the first things when I started lecturing on AI back in 22 was telling people it's the perfect opportunity to take the blinders off, because you start to believe. I have a case for 5 years. I know that case upside and down, but I know it the way that I've seen it and believed in it. So challenge my position. Hey, AI, give me something that would attack what my reasoning is and understanding is. That's a great asset.
Yeah, and I think you have to do that because it's so easy to treat ChatGPT just like a yes man. Like if you're not asking it the right questions, if you're just going to it and be like, hey, what do you think about this? It generally is going to agree with you. Like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. You got to really ask it, like, give me pros and cons. Tell me why this is a bad idea. Like, argue against this. Give me the negative feedback as well as the positive.
Well, you nailed it. It was built as a chat bot. It wasn't built as an answer. It wasn't built as anything. It's our job to then give it the role. So one of the biggest prompt engineering issues is that people never assign a role to the AI platform they're utilizing. And by not doing that, you're leaving it to make up its own understanding of what it thinks you want. And I would prefer it to be a challenging mindset or something that can expand my horizons.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, before we go any further, John, tell our audience a little bit about who you are. You're a respected trial attorney. You run a law firm. You've been very involved in the intersection of technology and law. Give us a little bit of information about who you are.
Sure. I've been practicing law for longer than I want to say out loud. And I am the second generation. I work with my father, my brother, my sister, and 23 other attorneys out of New Jersey, but we practice all over. I focus on medical malpractice litigation, trial law, which has its own embracing of technological advantage. So I, as a younger man, used to want to be a computer programmer, and then they made me do Calc 5, and I said, no, I'll be a lawyer. So that transition was a lot easier. But when I found out that all of the hospital systems are based on a SQL database structure where I could export information and find out what was manipulated and changed, I started to integrate that knowledge set and do my own inspections and skip over hiring experts and just become the person that knows these systems the best, which resulted in me starting to write books on technology and practice of law, technology and persuasion, technology and presentation, and has really just taken off. And since I started, similar to every other lawyer, thinking you have to mimic those that came before you, I was never really the lawyer I've become until I said, hold up, I'm going to be myself. Not what my father is, not who my brother is, not the greats that came before me. I can learn from all of them, integrate the best, and make it better. Similar to AI, in that you can learn things from the past, but chat's only as good as the data that's put in, the information that's provided. You have to get it to expand your horizons to become stronger. So it's just taken off. I am trying great cases. I'm meeting amazing people, such as yourself, and learning more about how to continue to expand my knowledge and talents.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, that's really cool because my story is somewhat similar. My dad was a financial advisor, and then I kind of followed in his footsteps. I was a teacher. I taught high school science for 5 years, but got burned out with that and needed something a little bit different. Hats off to the teachers out there. You all do amazing work, and I have a lot of great friends who are still in education. But it was very.
My father was I went to history teacher first,
Oh,
and I consider lawyering teaching. I go around to different colleges, different law schools, and obviously I go on the lecture circuit for all lawyers to teach.
Yeah, there's a lot of similar skills between law and teaching and financial planning in professional services when you're working with people. But when I came on, we didn't have a website. So that was the starting point, right? It was, getting technology to that level. I'm curious for you in your business, what was that transition like? Is your dad still working in the practice? How was it coming into a family business?
I think I started when I was 8. So, I mean, I've held every position from the person who ran the mail to the courthouse through equity partner. So to do that transition, it's actually a great way to build a business because I know the ins and outs of every position. I've answered the phones. I've done the accounting. I built the first website back, let's say 94, 95 for the firm. And then I worked on trying to integrate them into a paperless office. I want to say late 90s.
I remember when we did that.
And so it's always been a battle, but I didn't realize I was trying to advance the practice. I was just having fun and trying to make the firm work better. And that was pretty neat. And the opportunity for my father to allow me to expand into those roles, which was amazing on his mindset to start the firm as himself and build it the largest in our county. By sheer knowledge of understanding that others can provide opportunities that he may not be aware of on his own. So when I got into it, I just said, all right, let's keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. And now, I mean, I can't imagine having a business without a website, right? In today's world, that's your mark of credibility. People go there to make sure you're real.
It's not just a website, it's social media, it's online, it's podcasts, it's books, it's publications, it's everything. You have to exist and be proud of who you are and what you do.
100%. What's kind of the size of the firm at this point?
We have right now about 20 lawyers and 50 plus employees total.
Okay. Has that grown much over? Has it been pretty steady in terms of size, or has it grown rapidly?
Yeah, so we actually had gotten up to 50 lawyers and made a strategic decision to split the firm in two. They're actually the building over. And because of practice areas, to hone in on what we were the best at versus what they're the best at, which because we were doing everything, you couldn't grow effectively. If you try to be a jack of all trades, you're going to fail at it miserably. So you have to then hone in. So we represent people as in they represent corporations. To try to get those together, it was playing two sides of the coin and not that good. So we have progressed again. We were down, we lowered to 12, we're back up to 20, and we just merged. Actually, we merged last week. We brought in another firm, so I guess we're 23. So I did. That was as of a couple days ago. Yeah,
That's incredible. Yeah. Well, okay, you hear that, folks, right? The importance of knowing your target market and really honing in on it. Has that made a big difference for you?
tremendous. One, we're happier. Less internal strife, difficulties, because we have, when you do both sides, you have hourly versus contingency. You have jealous who has a credit line of X. You have to wonder who's getting more money in, more funding, who's getting marketing, who's getting publicity. A lot of personalities you have to manage, especially in a law firm. So you have to try to keep everybody happy, and people that were best friends could become resentful of each other, even though it wasn't personality changes. It was just self-observation. So we had to really hone in. And by doing that, we've actually become closer again with those that aren't together.
Absolutely. So, what's your role in the firm now? Are you kind of like in a CEO role, or kind of managing the overall picture?
You are very observant. So we have a series of equity partners, which as you can imagine, is my brother, me, my brother-in-law, my father. So we have that core, but we also have a few other people in there, and we work on a management style of unanimity, I guess we'll put, that we work things out. We break into different teams. So we have a marketing team, we have an in-office team, we have a technological team, and that's how we manage. So because will candidly tell you that I'm not the best on the corporate and structure on that. So that's Eric Lubin, who would be the managing partner of the finances and negotiation. Eric Yingstrom, who my brother-in-law, does the comp, but when he's in equity, he actually handles people. He was a mayor. He understands how to deal with the inner workings, the HR. So where you would have a singular person in most firms that will dictate all decision-making, we have a singular person that will dictate the idea and present it to the core five. We then meet and we determine what happens. We have obviously superseding for emergent applications to get anyone in, and it works fine that way. But by having that kind of integrated approach and respect amongst everyone, I think it's made a much happier way to work, other than my father, who was just managing partner of that 50 person firm and kind of just did whatever he wanted. He knew it was better to get multiple minds.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. What's the long-term vision for your firm?
Wow, that's always a secret. No, it's we actually like bringing in people that will have the same mindset and idea. Excellence first. Great work will bring great clientele and great success. And that has been a model that we've really stuck to. So we make sure we vet anyone that wants to join or come with us, but we want to continue to grow to provide the best services possible for everybody that we meet.
Yeah, absolutely. As you grow, I've seen other law practices bring on non-legal professionals to help out with the administration, like a CFO or.
That would be my sister. No, we have a whole management team and administrative team. We have a billing team. So that is, I would say, the primary success of our firm is by not having the lawyers do things they're not supposed to be doing.
Yes. Yeah. Fantastic. Well, that's really cool. I love it. Thanks for giving us a little sneak peek there. Let's go back to AI real quick, and let's talk about some of your favorite tools. What are some of your favorite tools you're using right now? I know you have a few that you really like. Yeah.
I'll tell you my favorite one because it's so easy. It's on my phone always and forever is Plaud, Plaud. I mean, it's just a tremendous asset to be able to get your recordings, speak, and have a transcription almost instantaneously, and to travel and break down those items. And it's HIPAA compliant now, which is huge. The other one I use is Anytime AI. That is a big product that allows you to securely look at all your case files without page limitation. Because many of the AI services are limited to $175, $300, depending, and this could go 10,000 pages deep and more. And I think it was yesterday, OpenAI just opened up its 4.1 for the API usage, which will allow greater number of pages and information to be put into its project files to review. I don't want to mislead you and say I don't use OpenAI's ChatGPT quite frequently. I do, especially for making a action figure version of me and my family. But the different products can all be integrated in different platforms. So ChatGPT writes extremely well. It is well versed on that's basically looking at the human usage of language. It does a very good job. Whereas when you get to research, even though it has its advanced research tool, it's tremendous and searches the web, it's not as straightforward and trustworthy as, say, a smaller AI program. So the reason I say Anytime is that it is a RAG, retrieval augmented generation system, that when it gives you your answer, it gives an immediate link back to verify the information. I use Neos is my case management system. That's kind of what tracks everything that happens within our office. It has a AI summary tool, so you can use that for depositions, generation of your first version of your ROGs and different productions. Really makes my staff happy. So that's a staff heavy AI versus the things that I use on my daily basis, which are the other ones. I probably would toss in. Well, but I got to tell you, the video creation of Sora in chat is superb also. If you don't like the way that chat works, Claude is fine. Google has its versions, and you could kind of play it out. Poe, which is an aggregator, POE, provides all the AI in one page. So you can test different AI large language models. Always need to kind of throw things through that to get some different ideas on how to integrate a word choice. Because really, I kind of use it like a thesaurus or a dictionary. Say, how do I become better, and how do I make my brief really sing? And to do that would be the getting 20, 30 people to look at it. And by people, I mean millions of people built into an AI platform or a large language model and tell me the best way to communicate. Because sometimes we have the curse of knowledge. We know too much and don't realize that others don't. And so this gives you a chance to kind of bring yourself back to reality.
Yeah, awesome. Well, we'll try to find all of those and get those in the show notes for sure. Very cool. Have you seen major improvements in terms of your efficiency and firm profitability in adopting AI?
100%. Yeah. Okay. When you have to have happy staff. And some menial tasks can cause them to not want to do them, even though they're necessary. So to have something immediately we have, here's a great example, a long form, an intake document. I know what I need to do for every case is answer interrogatories. So our intake form has all the information I need to generate the first version of those interrogatories. Basically, the staff was taking and retyping or moving and copying, pasting into a different platform. But utilizing the AI, you just click a button, it takes that long form and integrates everything into the form of the A1 and saves them what could be hours of just boring copy, paste, retype, and formatting. So when my staff's happy, I'm happy. And efficiency goes up tremendously.
100%. How do we protect client information in using AI? Tell us about that.
Oh, sure. So that's been an obligation since they went with cloud and anything really technological. There's been an ethical responsibility to be up to date on first technology and also to verify that the platforms you're using are keeping your data secure. So one of the things you have to make sure is, so ChatGPT, you brought it up, that can integrate your data into its main database. It wants to learn from you and keep expanding, but you can shut that off. You can pay some extra money. You can go in and learn how the system is being utilized. Like Microsoft Copilot, completely safe because it's built into not putting the information into its general platform. Claude originally used to take all that audio, put it through Whisper technology of OpenAI to translate and get back, but it was giving all that information to the system. If you don't know what you're doing, you could be disclosing all of their client information. So you have an obligation, in my personal opinion, to read through, understand what technology they're using, and verify that there's enough security features that your information of your client does not disseminate into the public sphere. And there are. I mean, look, AI, as you said, it's growing. What's going to be in 5 years? Right now, you can limit the information. But by limiting information to, like, say, a RAG or one of the other systems where they have an individual database, you are not getting the true power of the large language model looking at all of that data. Because if the data doesn't go in, you don't get data response back. So it's really, when you combine the LLM and the RAG, you're really taking the language understanding and bringing it to a secure location, not taking your secure location, bringing it to the model to get it translated, which can change the results. But you as an attorney need to understand this. And that's really hard for lawyers because they don't want to know it. My dad won't even use a mouse. I mean, he gets angry at email. That's just the way it is. So if you're going to use it, though, you have an obligation to know it. And if you don't know it, you have to hire somebody that does.
Yeah, it's same in our business. Any technology piece we use, it's part of our compliance check. We have to, there's certain things we have to check. We've got to make sure it meets certain criteria for confidentiality and privacy and all of that good stuff. What's next for you, Jonathan? Are you going to create your own AI software program?
I'm not going to say that I am not a part of a couple AI platforms that have approached me to join with them. One we're working on is the AI Judge Bot. One is an AI program that can take large quantities of data and find inconsistencies and, like a needle in a haystack, information and provide it back in a substantive format for the lawyers. But I love practicing law. It just happens that practicing law is integrated into those things. Yeah. I plan on advising how to make these systems better, not just to create something new, but to make me a better attorney so I can help my clients. So my plan is to continuously learn, meet great people that will expand my knowledge base so that I can keep doing the job I'm doing and the firm can keep growing to help others.
Fantastic. Well, Jonathan, we're coming down to the end of our time. I want to ask you one last question. Part of our organization, we have a book club for attorneys and law firm owners. And we read one book a quarter. Right now, we're reading Shoe Dog by Phil Knight. And so I always ask my guests, is there anything that you're reading right now that's you're really finding interesting, or maybe one of your favorites that you read in the past you want to share with our audience?
I am a lawyer, so I have a bookshelf of books, not to mention all the ones I've written, so definitely dropping the digital anchor. But if I was to pick one book that I thought was, one, a good read, two, understood the different viewpoints, it would be a book called, it's out of print, so if you find it, it's very good, Damages by Brian Held. And he is an investigative reporter that did an examination of a medical malpractice case front to back from the viewpoint of the doctor, the patients, the lawyers, and the insurance company. And it was a fascinating undertaking to say, hey, maybe we don't see everything in the same light every time we do something. And I think that could really open people's minds up about how they're acting and how they're growing and how they're running their business, to maybe say there is another way.
Yeah, perspective is everything, truly.
That's not. I'll toss Nancy Duarte in there too. Her Resonate book was solid.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Well, by the way, we'd love to have you in the book club if you'd like to join.
Good morning. I love reading.
Well, Jonathan, it's been fabulous having you on the show. Any last things you want to leave with our audience before we go?
Find what you love and stick with it.
Great advice. Great advice. Thank you, Jonathan, for joining us.
Pleasure's mine. All the best.
All right. A big thank you to John for joining us today. If you'd like to learn more about his work or connect with him, visit lamirolaw.com or check out the links in the show notes. Here's my takeaway. The lawyers who win in the future will be the ones who stop resisting change and start strategically leveraging it. Don't just try AI, train it, test it, treat it like a partner. Whether it's streamlining tasks or sharpening your legal arguments, the opportunity is massive. The challenge? Start experimenting this week. Remember, your law firm isn't just a job, it's your most powerful asset. And just like you wouldn't ignore a new investment strategy, you can't ignore the tools that will define your firm's growth. Innovation isn't optional. It's how you scale, gain time freedom, and ultimately build wealth. And that's what we're all about here at the Lawyer Millionaire Founders Network. If you got value from today's episode, do us a favor. Leave us a 5-star review and share this episode with a fellow law firm owner. And don't forget, you can join our Lawyer Millionaire book club for free at lawyermillionaire.com. Just click on community at the top of the page. Each quarter, we read, grow, and connect. Well, that's a wrap for this episode of the Lawyer Millionaire Podcast. I'm your host, Darren Wirtz. See you next time.